Good afternoon. Today is October 17th. Welcome to iPulse Live. I'm Guilherme De Domenico.
And I'm Lisekian. Conflict and mistrust from the Middle East to Florida is at the top of our news. A week after a peace deal is forged with Israel, Hamas forces that have long pledged to destroy Israel are trying to brutally reassert their presence in the Gaza Strip.
And here at home, an uncle prays his Palestinian nephew will be spared. We begin with a weekend review from Jeremy Diamond in Israel.
2 years of pent-up anguish unleashed in an instant. One after another, 20 newly freed hostages and their families hug, cry, kiss, scream, and pray, reveling in their new, almost unbelievable reality. Their nightmare is finally over. These moments were never guaranteed. When Bar Cooperstein was kidnapped from the Nova Music Festival, his father was still paralyzed. He vowed he would embrace his son again on his own 2 feet. For Einav Tsengaker, who became an icon in the hostage family's protest movement, this is the culmination of a relentless fight. Israel's national nightmare is also now finally over. After 738 days, every single living hostage is now free. The open wounds that has been October 7th can now finally begin to heal. For the hostages, the journey to freedom began in Red Cross vehicles flanked by masked Hamas militants. An Israeli convoy completed the trip to a military base near Gaza, where hundreds of Israelis lined the route.
This liftoff is a moment more than 2 years in the making. Some of the last living Israeli hostages getting their own taste of freedom.
Newfound freedom filled with moments that seemed frighteningly out of reach just weeks ago, like 2 former hostages embracing for the first time in years. It was an emotional day in Gaza, too, where more than 1,700 Palestinians detained without charge were finally freed. Tears of joy and questions answered, after months in the dark about their loved one's fate. "Thank God for this blessing," this woman says, reuniting with her husband. "It's my birthday today," he says, tearing up. "It's an indescribable feeling being here next to my wife. The Israelis may have destroyed Gaza, but they can't destroy us." In the occupied West Bank, dozens of Palestinian prisoners serving long-term sentences also received a hero's welcome. They are among 250 high-security prisoners released as part of the deal, most of them tied to deadly attacks on Israelis. For the Miran family and most Israelis, a price well worth paying. To make families whole again and give 2 little girls their father back after 2 long years. Jeremy Diamond, CNN, Re'im, Israel.
The horror and politics of war, and behind every report, every casualty, is a human face, both Israeli and Palestinian. Last week, we focused on anti-Semitic worries in our Jewish community. Today, I introduce you to the story of a Palestinian teenager, one of the human faces his family fears will be lost amid ongoing mistrust on all sides. Mohammed Zahir Ibrahim is 16 years old, an American citizen of Palestinian heritage, raised in Florida, now sits in an Israeli prison. Ziad Kadur is his uncle.
We had high hopes that we'd be one of the families that would get their son back.
A family's hopes dashed during the hostage and prisoner exchanges this past week.
Unfortunately, he wasn't part of the deal. And we're asking for clarification from our elected officials that what could be more important than an American child who's suffering from starvation and scabies.
In the midst of the Israeli-Hamas war last February, Mohammed was visiting his second home on the West Bank with his family. Then, one day, they got a knock at their door.
His father opened the door. There were about 25 IDF soldiers armed with M16s and ski masks. They asked to enter the home. They said, "Where's your son?" They walked into the room. He was asleep. They took him out of his bed. They blindfolded him. They handcuffed him. And they carried him out and put him in the back of a Jeep and drove him to an interrogation center.
Kadur says the family was told by Israeli authorities that Mohammed had been with a group of kids throwing stones at Israeli settlers in the West Bank.
From what we understand, because there hasn't been a formal judgment or a formal conviction of any sort, it's allegedly that it's a package deal, that one of the kids threw a rock, but all the kids are guilty.
Mohammed's family has been in contact with the U.S. Embassy, which had paid him visits to check on his health.
We found out that he was extreme weight loss, over 30 pounds, which is roughly 1/3 of his body weight. And during that time, he had his 16th birthday while in prison. And the scabies had reached his hands and forearms. So it started off on his legs and it reached his hands. So his entire body was covered with scabies.
It is 8 months now of no direct family contact, no pictures, and no official charges either.
That breaks my heart, that he was supposed to be here this summer getting his driver's permit when he turned 16, just like any 16-year-old in America, you know?
Mohammed's family is coping with another tragedy this year, one that made international headlines, from the British newspaper The Guardian to the Al Jazeera network.
Muhammad's first cousin in July was killed overseas by Israeli settlers. He was beaten to death. His name is Saif Alum Musalet. He was 20 years old. A group of settlers got a hold of him, beat him to death with sticks and rocks, and he was brought home in a body bag while on vacation over there, also from Tampa.
What would be your message to the Israeli government?
My message would be for us to go back and follow what our religions, and especially their religion, which is a beautiful religion. It says, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not lie. And, we feel as you stole our son, do a good thing and show the Americans and show people that you're still human and that you don't want children to be in prison suffering.
One teen, one family, among so many, at the heart of an age-old conflict where trust seems forever elusive. We will continue to press for answers on the fate of Muhammad Zahir Ibrahim.
We reached out to Israel's embassy in Washington, D.C. for comment and have not heard back. A State Department spokesperson said, quote, "We take seriously our commitment to assist U.S. citizens abroad and are providing consular assistance to Mr. Ibrahim and his family." Now to perspective. Last week, a response from our Jewish community on growing anti-Semitism at home and abroad. Today, Sadil Ghazana, a Palestinian student at Lynn, talks about the Israeli-Hamas deal. As the debate about whether it can hold intensifies, she talked with Delaney Smith.
Do you believe this peace agreement is healing the long history of distrust of Palestine and Israel?
So I would say that there's still a long bridge to cross because it's a ceasefire, but there's more that needs to happen, especially for the people of Gaza.
What else needs to happen?
Permanent withdrawal from the Gaza Strip, I would say, so they actually are able to go back home freely without having to worry about leaflets dropping from the sky or having to keep going through different types of villages that already are destroyed just to evacuate said point, but then there's nowhere else to go. Giving them more of the freedom to roam, being able to actually rebuild their homes and safely be in their homes, allowing international countries that do want to help Gaza to be able to help them, not be so restrictive or immediately get rid of aid that was trying to go to Gaza, especially for the kids who are growing up literally under the war, the genocide.
And you have friends and family in the West Bank.
Yes, that's correct.
What are their feelings right now, and what are they saying?
They're also hoping for people of Gaza to go back home and hoping that they are able to be free. However, because of this agreement, people in the West Bank have been getting more retaliation from the IDF, especially with the curfews and stuff like that. because all eyes are in Gaza right now, it's easier for things in the West Bank to slip through the media. So while they're happy and celebrating for the ceasefire, they're not doing so well themselves.
We turn now to a topic that is about our daily mission, covering the news of our community. The way we do that is changing, and today we wanted to look at an online weekly, stetnews.org, making a name for itself. A small group of journalists there want to be an answer to disappearing newspapers. Davendra Belbis reports.
I caught up with veteran journalist Joel Englehart in Palm Beach Gardens. This place is part of his county-wide news beat as a co-founder of StetNews.org.
So we don't have a distribution model where we drop a newspaper on your front door.
Yeah.
We depend on the internet to get our word out. A lot of people don't see stuff. It's out there, we put it out there, we try to make it visible. But one of the biggest hurdles is being visible, getting seen.
Englehart spent 28 years at the Palm Beach Post. Local newspapers are disappearing everywhere. Englehart says local news must not.
The idea is to cover local news that is not being covered because there's so little, there's so much less reporting out there anymore because of all the cutbacks. And there are so many stories. This county has over 1.5 million people, and many, many stories are being untold. So it leaves a big void, and we're trying to fill the void.
Englehart is a part of a small team of journalists trying to make a difference.
People should know how their tax money is being spent. There may be the approval to build something monumental in their neighborhood that they knew nothing about because nobody reported on it.
The work is vital. The business model for Stet News is a challenge. Their journalism is supported by grants and donations to the weekly digital newsletter.
But one day we could see us with 2 newsletters a week and ultimately maybe 5. But for that, we would need to know our revenue is going to be there. And with grants, it's very hard to predict what you'll have next year.
Trying to thrive as a grassroots news organization.
We have a lot of local elected officials and government officials who read what we do because they want to know what's going on. I think business people need news because they need to be informed about their community. And so I'm hoping that they're plugging in too.
And hoping that news that matters will attract the ongoing community support that is vital. Davendra Belbis, iPulse News.
Now to the education front. Amid so many reports criticizing the state of K-12 education, we focus on a school bucking many national trends. The Henderson University School at Florida Atlantic University puts a premium on core subjects, and students mix thinking with doing. A lot of doing. I paid them a visit.
Put on your thinking caps because school is in session.
What's next?
This is Lindsay West's 4th grade class at Henderson University School on the FAU campus. Students this day are learning art inspired by science.
What is perspective anyway? Maybe you know about it from reading.
They study Egyptian works and Leonardo da Vinci. The Renaissance artist, painter, and inventor is on their minds.
What we've been doing is 1-point perspective. So the kids are challenged to create a pathway that gets smaller and smaller as it goes off into space.
Miss West encourages her students by looking at the world in a fun and different way.
I challenge them to look out at the horizon, to look at photos that their family may have in there and see that 1-point perspective outside of school.
Who knew that science and art can go hand in hand?
The kids have the opportunity to create leaves that far away are smaller, using a tiny little paintbrush. And then we also bring in the science aspect of, okay, why are some leaves yellow? Why are some green?
Miss West's class is part of Henderson's STEM program. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics. STEM is at the heart of the K-12 program here. The hands-on experience is everything here, says Principal Lauren Robinson.
Because at the end of the day, opening up to page 18 in your textbook and let's read about flowers is not really going to help them remember it in the long run.
Henderson prides itself on putting thinking into action. One complements the other.
In elementary school in 4th grade this year, they were building bridges out of pasta. They had to build a bridge that would withstand different elements of weather.
Henderson says it's working. The school boasts hundreds of national merit scholars over the years.
We have students getting into Ivy League schools, master's programs right out of high school, going on to med school at 18.
It's a program of constant discovery. Just ask Aaliyah Barrios.
I was a new student into the school that Miss West was like nice and stuff, and art, and I used to make like sketches and stuff. I normally didn't know how to mix colors, like blue and purple red and blue make purple.
Extra large, extra large. Oh, I broke my oil pastel because it was so intense.
When you see that student that has a special gift and you can be the person to tell them that they need to foster that gift and give them resources, how to do that, that's a special feeling.
Opening new horizons, one student at a time. Lisekian reporting for iPulse News.
In other news today, a discussion about Florida's death penalty. Florida leads the nation this year in the number of executions. iPulse reporter Delaney Smith is seeking reaction.
Florida has recorded the highest number of executions this year with 14, a new state record. Samuel Smithers, a former church deacon from Plant City, Florida, killed 2 women nearly 3 decades ago. He was executed by lethal injection Tuesday night. I sat down with the former state attorney of Palm Beach County, Dave Ehrenberg, to discuss the ongoing debate of the death penalty.
Putting aside your official roles for a moment, what is your take on the death penalty?
Well, the voters of Florida support it. It's in the law. And as a state attorney, you need to follow the law. You can't impose your own judgments over it. But if you ask my personal views, I support capital punishment. I realize its flaws, but I still support it as something that should be used, hopefully, in the rarest of cases where it's just such a heinous crime that it's not complete justice to have someone live out their life on taxpayers' dime for the rest of their life, while the family of the person who's taken from them, that individual never gets their life back, and the family is broken forever. So as far as against the death penalty, there's religious reasons that only God can decide whether you live or die, not the state. And there are reasons that you can get it wrong. I mean, people are imperfect, and unless you live in a perfect world, there could be mistakes. And there's just also a revulsion by some as for the eye for an eye approach.
Some people who go against the death penalty say it violates the 8th Amendment and would constitute as cruel and unusual punishment. What do you think about that?
It doesn't. The Supreme Court tells you what the law is, and the law is that it does not violate the 8th Amendment right against cruel and unusual punishment. There are better arguments against the death penalty than that.
And has Florida perfected the administration of execution?
I don't think you can perfect anything. I mean, we used to have old Sparky, an electric chair, until it malfunctioned and smoke came out of the eyes of someone who was being electrocuted. And that was an 8th Amendment violation. And so then we switched to the injection system we have now. If you're going to impose capital punishment, you don't want there to be torture or undue suffering. I mean, after all, that would be an 8th Amendment violation. And also, it's just inhumane to treat anyone like that.
Does the death penalty have any deterrent value?
I think it does.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, as the former state attorney for Palm Beach County, I know that there are heinous criminals who commit the worst of crimes who want to plead guilty in exchange for taking the death penalty off the table. So in that sense, it mattered.
And the death penalty continues to be this ongoing debate. How do you respond to the Parkland families who were angry when the young killer of their loved ones did not receive the death penalty?
I share their anger and their frustration. I mean, if slaughtering 17 innocents, most of them children, does not get you the death penalty, then what does? Is there any more important function of government than protecting the safety of our families, the sanctity of our communities and our homes? That, to me, is the number one function of government. And if the sentiment of the community and the state is to support capital punishment, then state attorneys around the state, law enforcement, prosecutors, they should all follow the law. And I think in Florida, we have plenty of imperfections, plenty of flaws in our government and our system here. But when it comes to the death penalty, I think that issue has been decided.
The American Civil Liberties Union calls the death penalty a broken process from start to finish. It says in part that death sentences are, quote, predicted not by the heinousness of the crime, but by the poor quality of the defense lawyers, the race of the victim, or the race of the accused or victim. We now turn to a story on gun violence. It's an epidemic in many American communities. Combating its toll among young people is the mission of a nonprofit in West Palm Beach. It's working one person at a time to try and create better and safer futures. iPulse reporter Alexis Nowak has our story.
In the heart of West Palm Beach, one nonprofit is giving young men and women with criminal records another chance. It's known as Inner City Innovators.
My mom was on crack when she had me, so I was raised by my grandmother, who loved me and did the best she could, but she struggled with alcoholism. So I just remember very early having this very hopeless outlook on life.
Ricky Aiken, born and raised in West Palm Beach, started Inner City Innovator, taking action in 2015 after a deadly summer he lost a close friend due to gun violence. Today, he helps young adults with a history in violence. Over time, he has started to see a real change in those he mentors.
When you first meet a kid, they're just hardened, right? They don't trust you. And I tell my staff all the time, not to expect them to trust you. You watch our staff ask the right questions, show up, meet needs week by week, month by month, until a year later, you're dealing with this bright, bubbly, beautiful personality that we would have never had access to unless we cultivated that.
Through his work, Ricky Aiken says that the greatest impact comes from reaching the young people others have given up on.
When you have organizations like ours that's saying, give us that kid. Oh, he had a gun? That's what we're looking for. And you're able to turn them around. If you could turn their compass the right way, they got to change your community.
What's the message you want people to take away from your story?
To not disqualify yourself. There are so many things I could look at to disqualify myself. The very thing that most people would be ashamed of, like their past and what they've gone through, I found a way to make that my power.
Ricky Aiken's stories proves that real change starts from within, and his mission continues to leave its mark on the community he calls home. I'm Alexis Nowak, reporting for iPulse News.
Erasing stigmas is not easy. We are reminded of that in a story about pit bulls, often associated with aggressive behavior. PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, says that tens of thousands of pit bulls at shelters are euthanized each year. Katie LaFerrier reports on one local shelter trying to change perceptions about the breed.
At Abandoned Pet Rescue in Fort Lauderdale, workers try their hardest to rehome and rehabilitate pets.
We are a no-kill shelter.
I sat down with Kara Starzik, the shelter manager, and got her perspective on how specifically pit bulls and bully breeds are disproportionately stereotyped.
Breeds that you commonly see in shelters are the staffies, the pit bull terriers, and then other bully breeds like bulldogs. Even French bulldogs are ending up more and more in shelters.
Do you feel as though there's a misconception on the aggressiveness of pit bulls?
I do think there is a misconception. I think people that haven't personally gotten to know that breed might see cases on the news where there's been an attack, and they are very powerful dogs, but you'll see them more in the media versus a Chihuahua bite. And I really encourage people to get to know them, either whether their neighbors have one or their family member or friends, and really get to see what wonderful pets they are.
But why do you think they would make good pets?
It's really important to think about your own lifestyle and your activity level and your work schedule and find the right pet for you. I think all types of bully breeds should be considered. They are wonderful dogs. They each come with their own personality. Their personalities aren't based on their breed. There are some common characteristics, such as they love to snuggle, they're very goofy, They are active, but also can be big couch potatoes. And it's really just matching each family to the right pet.
For more information, go to www.abandonedpetrescue.org. Volunteer opportunities available. Katie LaFerrier reporting for iPulse News.
Now to a bond improving the lives of those coping with disabilities. We are talking about a horse therapy program, and iPulse reporter Allison Wallace had a chance to visit and bring you that story of connection.
They call it creating a path to unbridled moments, witnessing the magic. That is the stated mission of Equine Assisted Therapies of South Florida, Inc. I got to see that magic. We were allowed to watch a little girl coping with a disability, enjoying her time in the saddle during her hypnotherapy lesson.
Hypnotherapy is our most intensive program, really for more medically fragile, younger individuals. The horse moves in a three-dimensional motion, so for an individual that doesn't move in a typical way, they are using and building muscles that their mind and body just doesn't use typically.
Molly Murphy is executive director here. She has plenty of help.
This is Ginny, by the way. She is very eager to show off herself on this video.
The bond between horse and client is a special one. Molly knows it firsthand.
I have a disability called cerebral palsy. I too rode in hippotherapy and built a lot of muscles over time. I also participated in therapeutic riding, and that is the act of learning how to ride a horse through modifications to individuals with disabilities. So every program is different and they have a different outcome based on the needs of that participant.
The work here covers a wide range of therapies.
So we offer 4 different types of programs: therapeutic riding, unmounted horsemanship, hippotherapy, and equine-assisted psychotherapy. 2 of those are medically based, hippotherapy and equine-assisted psychotherapy, and the other 2 are delivered by a certified individual.
And they're always looking for volunteer help as well.
We run off of the love and steam of over 175 volunteers, so if anyone is looking for a local organization to support, whether with your time, talent, or treasure, we are here and are absolutely willing to train anyone with and without horse experience to make the biggest impact in the program.
If you would like to make an impact to this nonprofit organization, you can donate through their website at www.equineatsf.org. I'm Allison Wallace reporting for iPulse News.
Afternoon, everyone. Noah Barclay. Contrary to what I'm about to say in terms of how much is actually going on in the Atlantic, there's actually not much. Again, contrary to the amount of yellow and the amount of systems that are actually seem to be developing, but they're actually happening way off the coast of Florida. You have one in line with New Jersey. You have another one in line with actually below Cuba, below Mexico. So it's something that actually needs to be worried about. So the following things that you're about to see here and here, they're nothing that we have to worry about. It's going to be way out of the way. Just if you're going on a boat, be prepared for a little bit of choppy waters. You should stay up to date on the marine warnings that could possibly be coming in as these storms do start to develop, especially the one down here, since it is a little closer to Florida. So just keep in mind that and make sure you stay updated. Again, if you're going on a boat or going out to sea, watch the tide and things along the lines of that. Right now in the next image, as you'll see, the weather right now is actually very clear. There's no rain around. Little showers down here over near Cuba, but that's going to stay off to the side. So it's going to be a pretty quiet day. It's actually going to be very sunny now and really the rest of the week. There is going to be a little bit of a spot, as you'll see right now, on the 7-day forecast, that it is going to rain later in the week, Monday through Wednesday. But again, these are spotty. It's very scattered. It's going to be a little bit all over the place, but Friday through Sunday specifically, it's going to be very nice out. So if you have any sports to play or you want to go out, that's the time to do it. And really Monday through Wednesday is still fine to go out. It's not going to be a consistent rain. It is going to be pretty scattered, like I said, so just be prepared, stay updated during those days of when it is actually going to rain. Because it could be fine at one point and then 15 minutes later, it could be pouring for 5 minutes. So please make sure you're actually checking your weather app, making sure that you're going to be fine so you don't get caught outside during the rain. And speaking of possible sporting events, Swanson Gibson Jr. has you updated with some that happened over the week. Take a look.
This past Thursday was National Sports Day, a time for athletes, coaches, and other sports enthusiasts to celebrate and reflect on the importance of sports at all levels. Whether in coaching, agency, or executive operations, everyone has a role in growing the sports industry. Here at Lynn University, The Bigger Than Sports nonprofit is becoming one of those change makers, hosting numerous sporting events throughout the calendar. Their mission is to use these events as a vehicle to bring attention to the importance of youth mentorship for underprivileged high school students. Recently, this organization held its first ever 5K run. I was there to see the action unfold. The Bigger Than Sports nonprofit is back at it again, hosting their biggest event to date. The organization recently held its first ever 5K run at Lynn University, attracting scores of students and faculty, as well as members of the wider Boca Raton community.
Blessed with the turnout. It's honestly so inspiring to see the community come together for something bigger than sport.
Runners of all ages lined up in the Lynn University parking lot, running around the campus, continuing along Potomac Road, and returning to the school.
You got it, keep going.
Ian Wade began Bigger Than Sports so that events like this 5K could bring awareness to his greater mission.
Our mission is to empower lower income student athletes to succeed in their life beyond just the dream of going pro. We help them to get personalized mentorship in their last year of high school, going into college, trade school, workforce. We help them and walk them through that process step by step.
Waits also touched on the growth of his organization.
At our second event, my friends remember us sitting down, putting months and months of work and losing money on an event that we had just poured our lives into. And now we get to host events like this today, where we're raising thousands of dollars, bringing together hundreds of people, and it has been a growth that has not come easy, but it sure is great to celebrate.
Lynn University President Kevin Ross was one of the many supporters at the 5K.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, walked in this morning, heard the hype going on, and walked around the corner of Bobby Campbell Stadium. It's just remarkable, and I'm so proud of Ian and the team, and I can't wait to see this get even bigger, because it's going to, for sure. It's a cause that's not hard to get behind, but I think that the passion that comes with it is really remarkable, and everyone I've met on the team, from Ian across the board, is so into this event and the impact that it has. So I think it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger, and really attract more people to support it as well.
Young professionals using sports as an avenue for youth mentorship. Reporting for iPulse News, I'm Swanson Gibson Jr.
Time now to turn our focus to the arts. Ariella Pierre profiles a Lynn film student turning his talent and the camera lens to the topic of domestic violence.
Sage Austin Pena is a junior film student at Lynn University, and he's stepping into a new territory, directing his very first student film.
This is my first time being the director of a film that I also wrote, and I would say it's been an achieving process, but not without its terrible and rough moments here and there.
It's so difficult. My back is killing me.
Sage is very proud to be the writer and director of Fragmented, a film that dives deep into the struggles of domestic abuse.
So Fragmented explores the psychological effects of a woman in the middle of sort of dealing with domestic abuse. So really, I am talking about the issue itself, domestic abuse, and the physical action of it. However, I wanted to take a more psychological approach and dive into the mindset, something that affects a lot of people, not just women, but it affects a lot of people. So more or less, I want to talk about the psychological aspect of things while anybody really, is in the middle of going through something as tragic as domestic abuse.
For Sage, the goal of the film goes beyond just storytelling. It's about creating an impact.
To get everything right, I would say, is to be sensitive, to be informative, to be metaphorical. It's all these things rolled into one. And I hope people understand that it's a very real issue. It's a growing issue. As time goes on, it's unfortunate that it's growing. It's happening to not just women, but children, of course, men as well. But I think in general, I want people to take away that the things that happen to other people are real. It's not just something that goes away. Unfortunately, it could be a lifetime battle, if not years.
Sage doesn't sugarcoat the challenges of student filmmaking, but he had a powerful message to share with his fellow filmmakers.
Don't quit. There were many times, not just this film. I mean, ask anybody. Ask the crew. I wanted to quit. The day of, the first day of shooting, I wanted to quit. But once you pull it off, that feeling that you get outweighs any feeling of stress that you've ever had. And I would say that feeling of happiness you get, even if it's for a few seconds, is worth every bit of pain that you would go through trying to make something that you love. So don't quit.
I'm Ariel Pierre, and this is a story not just about abuse, but about courage, perseverance, and the power of storytelling.
Hollywood and her legion of fans remember Diane Keaton this week. One review called her one of cinema's quirkiest and most beloved actors. She died at the age of 79 from pneumonia complications. Adam Hakimi has a look back at her life and career.
Skilled at both drama and comedy, Diane Keaton was one of Hollywood's most enduring actresses. Born Diane Hall, the LA native landed her first major roles in Broadway productions like Hair and Woody Allen's Play It Again, Sam, a role she later reprised on the big screen.
You always think of baseball players when you're making love?
But it was another Woody Allen romantic comedy that launched her into stardom, Annie Hall.
Why? You got a car?
The 1977 classic was loosely based on her relationship with Allen and showcased her quirky personality and style. It also earned her an Academy Award for Best Actress.
Annie Hall gave me everything. Annie Hall gave me the opportunity to do all the things that I've been privileged to do.
Will you tell him it's okay?
She was Allen's muse in several of his other films, including Interiors and Manhattan.
You got a good sense of humor.
Keaton made her mark in dramas as well. She played Kay Adams, the wife of mob boss Michael Corleone, in the iconic Godfather films.
There would be no way, Michael. No way you could ever forgive me.
I think that she was not a typical mafia wife. That's the problem. She didn't fit. She was the wrong fit. And I thought that that was what was interesting about my part. I remember always the door being shut in my face.
Keaton also gave a powerful performance in the dark, violent Looking for Mr. Goodbar, and earned Oscar nominations for her work with then-boyfriend Warren Beatty in Reds, and opposite Meryl Streep in the family drama Marvin's Room.
God, are you that old?
Keaton turned to lighter fare in later years, starring in comedies like Father of the Bride, The First Wives Club, and Something's Gotta Give.
You knew that I was still in love with you.
Off-screen, Keaton's attire generated buzz and made her a fashion icon and influencer. Her self-styled, gender-bending wardrobe first grabbed attention in Annie Hall, and often features men's ties, suits, vests, thick belts, and hats. And while she had relationships with a few of her famous co-stars, Keaton never married. She did adopt 2 children in her 50s, and in addition to acting, directed TV shows, wrote best-selling memoirs, and pursued her passion of photography and preserving historic buildings. Diane Keaton, a Hollywood original who brought her unique, unconventional style to a host of unforgettable roles.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Couch Potatoes. My name is Lisette.
And my name is Guilherme.
And today we're going to be talking about the movie One Battle After Another.
Yes, so it recently released in theaters, and it's all about a character named Bob Ferguson, who's played by Leonardo DiCaprio. He's a washed-up revolutionary who's trying to save his daughter Willa, played by Chase Infinity, from Colonel Lockjaw, who's played by Sean Penn. And it's been a very critically acclaimed movie. The New York Times called it brilliantly directed, and that it feels shockingly urgent. Now, what do we feel about this movie, Lisette?
Yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of this movie. I like how it was touching on relevant topics as far as like the immigration detention center at the beginning. There was people for it, people against it, the public versus kind of Colonel Lockjaw. But then it kind of goes into this goose chase. It kind of reminds me of the movie Taken as far as like, where's my daughter? I need to find her and need to save her from this bad guy. It was way too long in my opinion.
Yeah, it was definitely way too long. 3 hours for this was too much, and I super agree with you. I think that the thing that I really dislike about this movie is that, you know, it's all about revolution, and, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio certainly, you know, screams "Viva la Revolución" many times.
That was really funny, though.
It was funny. He's an excellent actor, but the rest of the movie doesn't own that. Like, I feel like they're a bit too scared of the general audience having a reaction, and they just kind of centered in this kind of like centrist, more like outlook on everything.
Yeah.
And it's just very sad because I think revolutions the concept is very interesting because it's when, like, you have to start wondering, when does the people start to rebel because of how inefficient their leaders are? And
it is very funny, I will say, and like, you know, those moments like Leonardo DiCaprio with was Benicio del Toro and like the sensei stuff, like yes, sensei and all that. But other than that, it's I don't know. So, but we encourage you to obviously make your own opinion. Go watch it. It is an original movie.
Always good support those.
Yes, always. And until next time,
bye.
That is our new cast for today. Thank you for joining us here at iPulse Live.
And remember, you can get all the latest news, sports, entertainment stories, and more at iPulsenews.com. Have a great weekend.